Hey, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something your body will thank you for, understanding your thirst. More specifically, why you might feel thirsty all the time, even when you're drinking plenty of water. Did you know that your brain is about 75% water? Or that just a 1–2% drop in your body's water levels can affect your mood, memory, and focus? Thirst is more than an inconvenience. It's a signal that your entire system is working hard to stay balanced. Before we get into it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, especially if you care about taking charge of your health with real, practical knowledge. Let me know in the comments, what's one small health habit you're proud of lately? Alright, let's start at the root of this strange situation. You're drinking water consistently, maybe even a lot of it, but your mouth is still dry, you're still tired, you still feel off. Why? Let's get one thing clear. Hydration isn't just about fluid in, fluid out. It's about fluid regulation. That means how your body absorbs, uses, and stores water across all your systems, from your blood to your brain to your skin. Your body has an internal hydration thermostat, primarily governed by your hypothalamus, kidneys, and a set of hormones like vasopressin. These players work together to track things like your blood volume, sodium levels, and how concentrated your urine is. If something goes even slightly off-kilter, your brain interprets that as thirst even if you've just finished a bottle of water. Sometimes, your body isn't really craving more water, it's craving better water balance. Let's use a simple analogy. Imagine your body as a sponge. You can pour water on it, but if the sponge is dry and stiff, maybe because it's covered in oil or salt, it won't absorb well. The water just slides right off. That's kind of what happens when you drink water. But your cellular environment isn't prepped to receive it. There's also something called osmolarity, a fancy word that refers to the concentration of solutes like sodium and glucose in your blood. If this balance is off, your body might feel dehydrated even when fluid is present. Here's another overlooked detail. Not all hydration is immediate. Your body needs time to distribute fluids properly. If you chug water in one go, your kidneys often interpret that as a surplus, and you pee it out quickly. That's why steady, moderate sips throughout the day are often more effective than big gulps at random times. So yes, thirst can linger even when you drink enough, especially if the water isn't staying where it's needed or being processed effectively. And here's something most people don't realize. Overhydration can cause dehydration symptoms too. That's called hyponatremia. It happens when you drink too much water and dilute the sodium in your bloodstream. Your cells swell, which can cause fatigue, confusion, and you guessed it, more thirst. It's a gentle reminder that health is rarely about just doing more. It's about doing smarter. Practical takeaway: start noticing how and when you drink, instead of waiting until you feel parched. Try building a rhythm like sipping water slowly with meals, after bathroom breaks, or before and after a walk. And remember, your body's hydration status is influenced by way more than just the water you drink. Coming up, we'll look at the surprising things in your daily routine that might be drying you out without you even realizing it. So now that you know hydration isn't just about drinking enough, let's talk about what might be quietly draining your body of water behind the scenes. You see, a lot of things we do every day, to move, even take medication, can influence how much water our bodies hold on to. And you might be surprised at just how often these dehydrators show up in your life. Let's start with an obvious one: caffeine. You've probably heard that coffee is a diuretic, right? That means it increases urine output. But here's the twist: while caffeine can make you pee more if you consume it in large amounts or aren't used to it, moderate coffee or tea intake, especially if you're already a regular drinker, usually won't dehydrate you. Your body adapts, so the occasional morning cup, probably fine. The fifth cup in the afternoon on an empty stomach, that might be a different story. Now, here's a sneakier culprit: alcohol. Unlike caffeine, alcohol more directly suppresses vasopressin, the hormone that helps your kidneys retain water. That's why after a few drinks, you find yourself constantly going to the bathroom and waking up the next morning parched. Even 1 or 2 drinks in the evening can subtly throw off your hydration if you're not offsetting it with water. And then there's your diet. High protein, low carb diets can increase water loss through a process called ketosis, where your body produces ketones and flushes them out via urine. Salt-heavy meals can also spike sodium levels, causing your body to pull water from cells in an attempt to balance things out. Ever eaten a salty takeout meal and felt like your mouth was dry for hours afterward? That's not just you. It's your cells giving up water to try and dilute all that excess sodium in your bloodstream. Now, let's look in your medicine cabinet. Some common medications like antihistamines, blood pressure drugs, and even antidepressants can cause dry mouth or alter your fluid balance. That doesn't mean you should stop taking them, but it does mean you need to be extra mindful of your hydration habits if you're on a regular prescription. Even your exercise routine plays a role. When you sweat, you don't just lose water, you lose electrolytes too. And if you replace only the water without replenishing those lost minerals, you may still feel off. We'll get deeper into electrolytes in the next section, but for now, just know that post-workout hydration needs more than just a water bottle. It might need some strategic replenishment. And yes, the weather matters too. Hot days, dry air, cold wind, all of it can increase water loss through skin or respiration, even when you're not dripping sweat. There's also a common myth that the 8 glasses a day rule works for everyone. In truth, your water needs are influenced by you, your size, activity level, climate, and even the foods you eat. For example, someone who eats a lot of fruits and vegetables already gets a decent amount of water from their meals. Someone eating mostly dry or processed foods, not so much. Let's pause and reflect on a key insight here. Hydration is cumulative. It's not just about what you drink, it's about what you lose. And the small losses through food, sweat, even breathing can add up quickly over the course of a day. So how do you apply this? Here's a practical idea. Try keeping a simple hydration log for 2 or 3 days. Not just how much you drink, but what else is going on. Salty meals, tough workouts, air-conditioned environments, late-night wine. You might start to notice patterns. And once you know where the leaks are, you can start plugging them gently, consistently, and in a way that works for your body. Next up, we're going to talk about the underrated stars of hydration, electrolytes. Because if water is the train, electrolytes are the tracks, and without both, you're not going anywhere. By now, you know that hydration is about more than just drinking water, but there's a critical piece of the puzzle we haven't explored deeply yet: electrolytes. These are minerals that carry electrical charges in your body, and they're absolutely essential for balancing fluids in and out of your cells. Let's break that down. The most important electrolytes when it comes to hydration are sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and chloride. These minerals help regulate your osmotic balance, that is, the movement of water between compartments in your body, like your blood, tissues, and cells. Imagine a bouncer at a nightclub deciding who gets in or out. That's what electrolytes do. They help your cells decide when to hold water, when to release it, and when to pass it along. Without enough of these minerals, or if their balance is off, your body can't keep water in the right places, no matter how much you drink. Let's say you're drinking plenty of plain water, but not eating enough sodium or potassium. You might experience symptoms like fatigue, dizziness, or even heart palpitations, not because you're dehydrated in volume, but because your cells aren't able to retain the water you're giving them. That's called a functional dehydration. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people think sodium is bad. We've all heard that too much salt can lead to high blood pressure, and that's true in excess. But sodium isn't your enemy. It's essential. You need it for nerve function, muscle contractions, and yes, hydration. If you sweat a lot, exercise often, or eat mostly whole, unprocessed foods which are naturally low in sodium, you may actually need a bit more salt than you think. That's why endurance athletes often rely on electrolyte tablets or sports drinks. They're not just for energy. They're for fluid balance. And then there's potassium, which works like sodium's counterpart. It helps draw water into your cells, while sodium regulates water outside of them. A balance between these two is crucial. Unfortunately, most diets today are high in sodium and low in potassium, which can throw off the entire system. Where do you get potassium? Think bananas, avocados, spinach, sweet potatoes, and beans. Magnesium and calcium also play supporting roles helping muscles relax and nerves communicate, all while stabilizing cellular fluid. Let's pause here for a myth check. Electrolyte drinks are just sugar water. That's partially true. Many commercial sports drinks do contain a lot of sugar and artificial ingredients, but that doesn't mean the concept is wrong. In fact, a small amount of glucose sugar helps your body absorb sodium more effectively. That's why oral rehydration solutions, like those used in hospitals or after stomach bugs, include salt and sugar. So, if you're feeling thirsty all the time even with plenty of water, it might be time to check your electrolyte intake, especially if you're active or in a hot climate. Here's a real-world tip. Try adding a pinch of sea salt and a splash of lemon juice to your water during intense workouts or on very hot days. You can also try low-sugar electrolyte powders. Just watch out for ones loaded with artificial flavors or sweeteners. Look for options that include sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride and that keep sugar under control. Of course, everyone's needs are different. Some people do fine with just water, but if you're sweating heavily, following a low-carb or keto diet, or experiencing frequent thirst without relief, your electrolytes might be out of sync. And remember, you don't need to wait until you're running a marathon to think about electrolytes. Even a brisk walk on a humid day or a night of poor sleep can shift your balance. Coming up next, we'll look at how thirst can sometimes be a false signal triggered by stress, fatigue, or even habit. Because sometimes what feels like thirst is actually something deeper. At this point, you've learned that hydration is a complex interplay between water, electrolytes, environment, and habits. But here's a surprising twist. Sometimes what you perceive as thirst isn't really thirst at all. Let's unpack that. Have I eaten recently? Have I been in dry air? Or is this a response to a physical sensation that might have another cause? This kind of body check takes just a few seconds, but it helps you tune into what's really going on. Think of it like emotional intelligence for your health. You can also use a hydration journal just for a few days. Log not only how much you drink, but when, why, and how you feel. Patterns will emerge. Maybe you always feel thirsty mid-afternoon. Turns out it's the same time you usually hit a slump from poor sleep the night before. Or maybe late-night thirst coincides with a high-sodium dinner. The key is don't assume thirst always equals dehydration. Let's zoom out a bit. Thirst is a biological signal, but it doesn't always reflect immediate needs. It can be anticipatory, your body gearing up for activity, reactive to a salty meal, or even habitual, you always reach for your bottle when checking emails. That's not bad, but it is something worth noticing. In the final section, we'll bring everything together. We'll look at how to build a smarter, more personalized hydration routine, one that works for your lifestyle, your body, and your environment. Your body is constantly sending signals, tiny messages, designed to help you stay alive and functioning. But those signals can get crossed, especially when stress, lack of sleep, diet, and emotional state come into play. That means what feels like a dry mouth or sudden urge to sip water could actually be something else entirely. Stress, for example, plays a major role. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol and other stress hormones that can cause dry mouth. It's part of the fight or flight response. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks into gear, pulling resources away from non-essential functions like saliva production. The result: you feel thirsty, but it's not because you're low on water. It's because your nervous system is sounding the alarm. Next, let's talk about fatigue. When you're tired, whether from poor sleep, overwork, or illness, your body can confuse thirst and exhaustion. One reason is that dehydration and fatigue share many symptoms: sluggishness, brain fog, headaches, and low motivation. In some cases, you might reach for water when what you really need is rest or a nutrient-dense meal. And that brings us to another common signal misfire: hunger. Studies have shown that mild dehydration can mimic hunger signals. That's because both sensations are regulated, in part, by the hypothalamus, the brain's command center for energy and fluid balance. If your body is slightly dehydrated, you might feel an annoying sensation that's easily mistaken for food cravings, especially for juicy or salty foods. This confusion also works in reverse. Sometimes people eat when they're really just thirsty. That's why one classic nutrition tip is to drink a glass of water before reaching for a snack, especially if it's not meal time. If the sensation fades, it was probably thirst in disguise. There's even something called psychogenic polydipsia, which is a fancy name for compulsive water drinking in the absence of true physiological need. While rare and typically linked to psychiatric conditions, it reminds us that the psychology of thirst is very real. Mood, emotion, and even habit can influence when and how we reach for water. Let's not forget about dry air environments. If you spend hours in air conditioning or heated rooms during winter, your mucous membranes think nose, throat, mouth can dry out. That sensation feels exactly like dehydration, but it's more about the environment than your actual hydration status. And here's a myth worth busting. Clear urine means you're perfectly hydrated. That's not always true. While pale yellow urine generally indicates good hydration, completely clear urine could mean you're flushing out too much, especially if it's frequent and accompanied by lingering thirst. Again, it's all about balance, not just quantity. So, what can you do to interpret your body's signals more accurately? Here's one simple strategy: pause before you sip. Ask yourself, am I actually thirsty, or just feeling anxious, tired, or bored? You've made it this far, and by now, it's clear. Hydration isn't just about drinking water, it's about listening to your body, managing your lifestyle, and supporting the systems that regulate balance. So now the big question is, how do you turn all of this into a sustainable, personal routine? Let's start with this truth. There is no one-size-fits-all hydration formula. You've likely heard the old 8 glasses a day rule, but it's a generic guideline at best. What you actually need depends on your body size, activity level, climate, diet, sleep, and even your hormones. For example, someone who lives in a humid city, exercises daily, and eats mostly whole foods will have very different hydration needs from someone working at a desk all day in an air-conditioned office, who eats mostly processed snacks. So, instead of counting glasses, consider these 3 signals. Urine color, light yellow like pale lemonade, is generally a sign of adequate hydration. Darker, you might need more fluids. Crystal clear and frequent, you might be overdoing it or flushing out too many minerals. Energy and focus, are you crashing midday? Struggling to concentrate? A glass of water paired with a small, salty or potassium-rich snack might do more than caffeine. Mouth, lips, and skin, dry mouth, chapped lips, or skin that feels tight can signal mild dehydration, especially in dry weather or heated spaces. But hydration isn't just reactive, it can be planned. Here's how to build a personal hydration rhythm. Start your day with water. Overnight, your body loses moisture through breathing and sweating. Begin your morning with a glass of water, maybe with a slice of lemon or a pinch of sea salt to gently wake up your system. Anchor hydration to habits. Try tying hydration to moments you already do daily. After brushing your teeth, before lunch, after bathroom breaks. These small cues help make drinking water automatic, not forced. Include hydrating foods: cucumbers, watermelon, oranges, lettuce, strawberries. All of these are more than 90% water. Including high water foods in your meals reduces your need to drink constantly and supports better fluid distribution across your body. Supplement electrolytes when appropriate. If you're sweating a lot, sick, on a low-carb diet, or feeling persistently thirsty despite drinking, consider using a balanced electrolyte supplement occasionally. Look for products low in sugar but with a full mineral profile: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride. Avoid chugging. It may feel satisfying, but downing 500 ml of water at once often leads to a quick bathroom trip and little actual absorption. Instead, sip throughout the day, especially around meals and physical activity. Adjust for your environment on hotter or windier days. Increase fluid intake slightly, especially if you're active. In winter, don't neglect hydration just because you're not sweating. Heated indoor air can dry you out just as much. And now for an interesting twist. Your body's hydration rhythms are also influenced by your circadian rhythm. That means your need for water and your kidneys' ability to regulate it can vary by time of day. Research shows that your kidneys naturally conserve more water overnight, which is why you produce less urine while sleeping. It's a fascinating reminder that your biology is always adapting. Still, even with all this knowledge, the goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. You're not trying to micromanage every sip. You're just tuning in, listening better, making informed adjustments. Hydration should support your life, not become another checklist. Let's tie it together with a simple system. Your hydration code. It's made up of 4 pillars. Routine. Build small, repeatable hydration habits into your day. Balance. Don't forget electrolytes, especially during heat, exercise, or illness. Feedback. Use body cues, not strict rules, to guide intake. Adjustment. Flex based on your lifestyle, stress, and environment. And if you want a shortcut to better hydration, here it is. Drink water slowly, eat colorful plants, salt your food moderately, and pay attention to how you feel, not just how much you drink. Because hydration isn't just a task, it's a conversation with your body. The more you listen, the better you'll respond. Coming up next, let's close this out with a gentle summary and a few final words to carry into your everyday health journey. So, we've come full circle. We began with a simple question: why am I still thirsty, even when I drink enough water? And through that question, we uncovered something much deeper. Hydration isn't a number, it's a balance, a rhythm, a response. You learned that your thirst isn't always about how much water you've had, but how your body's absorbing it, retaining it, and signaling its needs. You saw how sneaky daily habits, stress, or even medications can shift your hydration status without you realizing. And you discovered that true hydration means looking beyond your water bottle toward electrolytes, food, movement, and mood. Here's the big takeaway. You don't need to obsess. You just need to pay attention. Notice how you feel. Observe how your body reacts in different environments. Build gentle rituals that fit your life: small sips before meals, mineral-rich snacks, a glass of water with intention rather than impulse. Let hydration become part of your self-relationship, not just your self-care. Because the more you understand your body's cues, the more clearly you'll hear what it needs, not just with thirst, but with sleep, energy, mood, and beyond. Thanks for spending this time with me. Stay healthy, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.